Hi, my name is Bill Bradley. I'm an extreme endurance athlete, and this is my video newsletter. The topic of today's newsletter is Just Finish, baby! Remember when I got accepted into Badwater my first year? The world's toughest run. That's what it's billed as. It's in Death Valley, and you run 135 miles to halfway up Mount Whitney. When I showed up at the race, I met some of my crew. My daughter had come with me and her friend, and we picked up, but the race had referred me to somebody. One of my crew members' name was Nick. He was a young guy. He was 18 years old. He was like 1 month out of high school. And he had a passion for running like I couldn't believe. He loved it. He loved running like other guys that age love baseball. I mean, he absolutely loved it. He went out there and he came out and he was meeting everybody he could meet and talk, and everybody could talk. And he came back to me and he said, "Bill, look at my hat." He goes, "I got Dean Karnazes' autograph." And he had Dean Karnazes' autograph on his hat. Dean had won the race previously. And he goes, "Look at this autograph." And he had the guy who'd come in second the year before. He was so pumped up. I looked Nick and I said, "Nick, that's really great. You know what those guys are going to teach you, Nick? They're going to teach you how to win. You know what I'm going to teach you, Nick? How to finish." Remember, we started out, we headed down the road in the morning. So we were in the 6 a.m. group. There's a 6 a.m. group, an 8 a.m. group, and a 10 a.m. group. There's like 30-something runners in each group. And they do that to stagger you on the road so you don't have 100 people because you're running kind of down the side of the road in the middle of Death Valley. And so anyway, so we headed out. And I remember the first, 42 miles. I felt pretty good. I was running. I was doing okay. And I remember maybe, let's say, around 40 miles. I remember I looked at Nick and I go, "Hey, Nick, look at my arm." It was like, I could, how you can pinch your, this little bit of pinch here you can do on your arm? Well, I couldn't do it. My arm was so swollen. It looked like a rolling pin all the way up and down. And this was solid. It was just so, everything was just, it was just so swelled. And me and Nick, we didn't know what we were doing, so we laughed about it. We thought it was so funny. I'm like laughing about it. I go, "Look at this, I look like Popeye." But maybe a half hour down the road, all of a sudden I take a step, boom. Ugh, like a knife going into my freaking quad. Then I take another step, I try to run, another knife going into this quad. I would later find out I had symptoms of hyponatremia. When it got hot, by this point now it's like 120 something degrees, and then what got hot is it got hotter. The only way I knew to cool myself off then was to drink out of my CamelBak. I just kept going. They were pouring some water on my head too, but I was like just drinking a ton out of my CamelBak. I go, "Oh man, it's really hot," and then I go. So what I found out was that by doing that, even though I was peeing, I was drinking way more water than I was peeing. And I'd always been told, as long as you're peeing, you're okay. But not when you're drinking like you're drinking out of a fire hydrant and you're just sucking it down. So anyway, so this went on for hours and hours. Actually, for 24 straight hours, I could not run. Every time I would try, it was like, wham, the knife in the leg. Wham, the knife in the leg. I could not run. Everybody in the 6 a.m. group left me. The people who started at 8 a.m., they caught up to me, they left me. The people who started in the 10 a.m. group, the fast guys, of course, they caught up to me, and they left me. By mile 95, I was in dead last place. 2 miles in dead last place. The second last guy was 2 miles in front of me. And I was in danger now of missing the 60-hour cutoff. I'd gone 24 hours straight of just walking because I could not run. That's when I looked. And when they told me I was in danger of missing the cutoff, I told Nick, I said, Nick was pacing me. Young Nick, young gung-ho Nick. And I remember he was talking up a storm. He's all fired up about everything. And I'm sitting over here, oh, just dying. He's all fired up. And I said, "Nick, shh." I go, "You got to be quiet. I got to force this pain out of my head, and I got to start to run." And so I remember, man, I tried to run. I went with everything I had because I knew it was my only hope to make it. I go, and I would run like 3 steps. And then the pain was just too excruciating. I had to stop. And I started walking again. Told me, keep quiet. I'm just practicing here. And so then I did it again. I go, suck it up, Bradley. And I go, and then it was still killing me. And then I said, one more try. I consider it's kind of like starting a lawnmower. Like, you just got to get it going, you know, like, you know. And so I went for the 3rd try. And I go, just push that pain out of your mind. And I took off running. And all of a sudden the pain was hitting me excruciating. I just said, just push through it. And I kept going and going and going. And then all of a sudden, after about a minute or 2 minutes, the pain started to drop and it started to numb. And I started hauling butt. Mile 95, I was hauling butt. I went for 5 miles. And I averaged 9-minute miles of pace. I remember me and Nick were looking at our watch. We kept going faster. And we would scream. I go, ah! I got down to an 8:30 mile at mile 90, like at mile 100 in Death Valley, and the temperature was like 115 degrees, and I'm running a 9-minute pace. But the problem was when I stopped, then everything would hurt. Oh, and it would kill me, you know. But I actually, when I was coming up and I was running those 9-minute miles, I looked at the road, and I saw a second to last. And I got so excited, I yelled out to Alex. Alex was driving our van. I said, go show him our colors. Bradley's coming out of the cellar. And he went up there and we ran up and we passed 3 guys. And anyway, we ended up, but by the time when we got up to back up to the hill and we were starting to climb Mount Whitney, I was again in dead last place. And I had to do one more surge up that hill to make it. And I ended up passing 2 more people on the way up that hill, and I ended up finishing. I finished in 56 hours and 10 minutes. And I remember, across the line, I could not walk anymore. It took everything I had to make it up there. I went down and I sat in a chair. But before I sat in a chair, they weighed me. They had weighed me before I was in a medical study. And they weighed me afterwards. I weighed 20 pounds more than I started the race. I had hyponatremia bad. I had 3 extra gallons of water in me. They said, Bill, whatever you do, don't drink anymore. You are in danger of drowning in your own fluids. That's when I went over and I sat down. Man, that felt good to sit down. After 54 hours, it felt really good. And I remember I was sitting there and I was looking around. I was in so much pain still. I was just in so much pain. And I remember Nick came walking up to me and he had his hat. This still almost makes me cry. And he says, Bill, Nick, this meant a lot to me. He says, Bill, will you sign my hat? And so I signed his hat with all those guys who were great, and all I did was just finish. That's all I did. I just finished. And Nick, the next year, he went out and finished Badwater, the youngest person ever to finish it. And now he's like this great international runner, and he knows how to win. But you know what else Nick knows? He knows how to finish. So just finish, baby! If you'd like to follow me, I'm available. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. If you have questions for me, you can email to me. You know, give me a couple weeks to get back to you. And if you would like some information on having me come talk to your team, your group, your company, we would definitely send that also to epicbillbradley@gmail.com, and we'll send you out information. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.